Welcome to the Leading Life Podcast, the place where leadership meets real life. Here is where we talk about leading with intention, living with clarity, and getting better results for the people we serve every single day. If you're ready to grow, you're in the right place. Right now, on today's episode, 10 Truths for Leading Your Best Life. Hi, I'm Andy Zook, and this is the Leading Life Podcast, where we discuss leading with intention, clarity, and courage. Each episode is designed to give you real-world perspective and the practical tools to help you show up as your best self at work and in your life. And so I'm here to share what I've learned from over 35 years of leadership, coaching, mentoring, and motivating teams. So there's going to be no fluff here, no phony motivation, no fake positivity, but just the truth that you can actually use. And we're going to say the quiet parts out loud because today's episode is definitely different. This isn't about productivity hacks, it's not about morning routines, and it's definitely not about chasing success. And I think the best way for me to start this off is to tell you what happened to me that inspired this whole episode. Basically, a couple months ago, I had woken up from a horrible nightmare. But I'll tell you that it was probably the most necessary nightmare I could ever have. And in this nightmare, I'm like living in another life. It's a life that I could have ended up actually living, but thankfully I didn't. And I don't know if it's some sort of way the universe is telling me how fortunate I am now, but wow, was it incredibly telling. And I don't think I can even remember all the parts of the nightmare, but basically I was stuck in this horrible existence, this horrible life. I was with the wrong partner, the wrong job, the wrong people around me, people that were just not good, people I could not trust, people that had bad intentions, that it felt like I was just trying to keep everything put together all the time. My whole life was a struggle. And really what it was showing me was that I was just an empty, desperate man that knew he had made bad choices. And so I jumped out of bed and I started to get ready for the day and I was driving to work. And that's when the nightmare started to really become clear to me about what it was trying to tell me. And obviously, yes, it was about how lucky I should feel, how grateful I should feel for my life. But I will tell you that it really hit me that I had actually been selfish. Yeah, that's the word that kept coming to me. Like, I should be so grateful for all that I have actually been living somewhat selfishly. And I don't mean selfish in the way like I'm going to take the last slice of pizza at work, or it's all about me getting what I want and stepping on everybody else. But it was in the smaller ways where I could be a better listener. I could be more connected and in tune with my life. I could care deeper for the people around me. I could do more for my wife around the house, more things for my family, things like that, that sometimes I'm focused so much on things that are not important. And I had been selfish with those things. And that's what leads us to this episode, because today we're talking about the quiet truths about what actually will create a meaningful life for you. And I hope that you never have a nightmare like that. But most of all, I hope you don't end up ever living that kind of life where you become desperate and empty. And I think if you listen to these 10 things, you will definitely avoid that. And I think about where I am in my life right now, and honestly, I feel like I'm at the best place I've ever been. And that's why I want to share this with you. But most of all, these truths that we're talking about, history has whispered them for thousands of years. So none of this is like new rocket science. It's just that modern culture rarely says this out loud anymore. Most of us grow up believing a simple formula. You know, if I become successful, if I become more comfortable, if I get more people to admire me, then I will feel fulfilled. But that's not true. People achieving everything they thought that would make them happy sometimes still end up feeling empty, while others that are building something difficult and meaningful are the ones that feel deeply alive. So then the real question becomes, what if we've been chasing the wrong definition of a good life this whole time? And when you step back and you look at these 10 truths, you point to a deeper realization, and that is the best life is built inward first, then outward second. So instead of chasing wealth, fame, and freedom, it's more important for us to focus on peace, meaning, and fulfillment. It's about turning it inward. Discipline becomes freedom. Freedom will become responsibility. Responsibility will become meaning, and love will become peace. And that changes everything. So let's get to it. Number one, comfort is the enemy of meaning. The ancient Stoic philosophers taught us that voluntary hardship creates freedom. Modern psychology now confirms that humans quickly adapt to comfort, which means comfort stops feeling good, but challenge is what keeps life meaningful. And I firmly believe this. So what I'm asking you is to find some new ways to challenge yourself, no matter what stage you are at in life. Remember, you want to be green and growing. So maybe it's taking one cold shower this week, starting a conversation with a stranger, doing one thing this week you've been avoiding, waking up 30 minutes earlier for 7 days in a row, exercising when you don't feel like it, or just trying something you might be bad at. But jump into the uncomfortable. Number 2, most social approval is a trap. History is filled with people who were rejected before they were respected. So let me ask you, are you living a more safe, quiet, and smaller life simply to avoid judgment? But remember that approval is not the same as truth, and a life designed to avoid criticism is rarely a life fully lived. So avoiding the need for constant social approval is one of the most quiet turning points in your life. When decisions are driven mainly by how others might react, people often choose safety over truth, comfort over growth, and silence over authenticity. Number 3, fulfillment comes from more responsibility than freedom. So modern culture sells freedom without obligation at the highest form of happiness. But pure freedom often produces anxiety and drift. Psychology and real life show something different. Meaning grows where responsibility lives. So having someone to care for, something that you're building, and a purpose that you carry with you every day, that's where fulfillment actually begins. You know, Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz during the Holocaust, wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And one of the main points of his book is that while he suffered in the concentration camp, that meaning came from having someone or something to live for. That's what kept him going. That's why often parents of special needs children often report deep purpose despite the hardship. All right, number 4, you become what you repeatedly do in private. Aristotle says we are what we repeatedly do. So it's not the big moments, it's not the applause, and it's not the highlights. Your real life is shaped by quiet habits no one sees. So it could be reading, journaling, training, praying, reflecting, choosing patience, choosing discipline. It's not always sexy. Sometimes it's boring, but destiny is rarely dramatic. It begins in what we do daily and in private. Number 5, success is rarely merit alone. Yeah, talent matters and effort matters. We talk a lot about that on the podcast, but timing, relationships, and opportunity shape outcomes far more than we'd like to admit. This isn't discouraging, but it's humbling. And humility lives where gratitude begins. You know, I don't look at my life and I think I built this. Instead, I think I was a guy who got lucky. I met the right people. I stood in the right rooms, and I was surrounded by all these amazing hands working together. Everybody was all hands on deck working together. And maybe real success isn't building something alone anyway, but maybe it's being grateful that you never had to begin with. Number 6, love is more a decision than a feeling. Okay, now I'm not saying you don't feel love, and I'm not saying in any way don't let love guide you, but what I'm saying is that feelings may rise and fall over time, and every long relationship proves this. What sustains love over decades is not constant passion, it's daily choice, and that means you choose to care, you choose patience, you choose to be present, and you choose forgiveness. Real love is less like fireworks, and it's more like a steady flame. One of the things that my mother told me that kind of shattered my world when I was a young man was, love is not enough. And that is very true. And it doesn't mean we're saying anything less about love itself. We're just saying that it's got to be a little bit more than that to really build a beautiful relationship. Because love isn't built in easy moments. It's proven in the hard ones. Real partnership is sitting in hospitals with your loved one, walking through the fear with them, holding each other when life feels heavy, or staying when things aren't convenient or always romantic. And that's not sad. It's just mature love. And that's the kind that actually lasts. All right, number 7, your mind is not fully under your control. Ancient spiritual traditions taught us this thousands of years ago. Neuroscience now agrees. Many of our thoughts and reactions are just automatic patterns, which means growth doesn't start with control, it starts with awareness. and you can't change what you don't notice. And awareness can come to us in different ways. I had it in the form of a nightmare, which was really pretty bizarre, but I've had a couple that way. But a lot of my awareness just comes from being quiet in a room by myself still. No headphones, no phone, no TV, no music, no nothing. Maybe just a journal and just really digging into my own feelings about where I am, the actions that I take. Those things help bring out the awareness, and then I can make the change from there. All right, number 8, death. Death awareness clarifies everything. Yeah, throughout history, warriors, monks, philosophers regularly reflected on mortality. So I'm not trying to be dark, but I just want this to become clear, because when life is seen as limited and finite, our priorities will sharpen. Small worries will fade. Love will matter more, and time will become sacred. I think I told you that story where one of my proteges working under me had asked me, like, how do you come to work so motivated all the time? And the answer was simply, I know I'm going to die someday. So why not be excited for what we have right now and make the ride the best for everybody around us? It was as simple as that. So remember, our life is finite. Our life is limited. Make the best of what you got right now. All right, number 9, inner peace requires letting go. Yeah, many high achievers spend years of trying to prove their worth, and strangely, peace often arrives only when their striving softens. So when life stops being about impressing the world and it becomes more about being present in it. So one thing that has made one of the biggest changes for me internally in regards to my personal peace is just focusing on doing my best and having zero expectations from people or even life itself. I believe the universe is working for us, like I said, but I have to be the one to let go of things that don't serve me and not have my expectations for myself put on people around me, because I'm going to be disappointed constantly if I do that. So again, just focusing on myself and controlling who I am brings me the most peace. And I will also say to you that you will become completely free when you fully embrace who you are. You will become completely free and peaceful when you love yourself. Lastly, number 10, the best life is usually quiet, not impressive. Yeah, some of the happiest people in the world live lives that don't make headlines. Yeah, but they have stable relationships. They have meaningful work. They have strong community ties. They have simple routines, but mostly they have deep peace. So there's no spotlight, but there's real contentment. And maybe that's the point. So here's the reflection I want to leave you with today. Are you building a life that looks impressive or a life that feels meaningful? Because those are not always the same path, but one of them leads to quiet regret and the other leads to quiet peace. And here's your call to arms for the episode. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who's been thinking deeply about life lately. And most importantly, pick one quiet truth from today and live it this week. It doesn't have to be loud. Don't do it for attention. Just privately, honestly, and be consistent, because that's where the change begins. So let's recap each one of these again quickly. Number 1, embrace getting uncomfortable. Number 2, most social approval is a trap. Number 3, fulfillment comes from responsibility. Number 4, you are what you repeatedly do. Number 5, most success comes from timing and relationships. Number 6, love is a decision more than a feeling. Number 7, your mind is not fully under your control. 8, awareness of your death clarifies everything. 9, inner peace requires letting go. And 10, the best lives are usually not the most impressive. All right, so let's say you pick number 3, fulfillment. Maybe you take on helping out a coworker once a month that you know is struggling. You spend an hour with them, helping them catch up and get better at their job. Or maybe you volunteer at an animal shelter twice a month. Or you cut an hour out of your Netflix time to go spend with your son or daughter in a hobby that you can share together. But if you do that, watch how it'll change your life and how you will feel about yourself. All right, so that is my episode. Thank you for listening and spending time with me on the Leading Life podcast. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it, because leading your life well isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, courage, and choosing what truly matters just one day at a time. So I hope this impacted you for the better. If it did, please leave me a rating or review, and please hit subscribe so you won't miss another episode. Until next time, lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you were meant to be. But most importantly, go out and be the hero of somebody's story today. I'm Andy Zook. This is the Leading Life Podcast. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Bye.